Good evening and welcome to a Day in the Job series by Career Development Cell, IIT Madras, which is intended to help provide a glimpse into various sectors via sessions and conversations with alumni. My name is Ashish Bishlani and I would be the host for this series. I am a pre-final year and I'm a core team member of the placement cell as well. The first sector on our radar is FMCGs, or fast moving consumer goods, which is the fourth largest sector of the Indian economy. The sector encompasses a diverse set of products and is hence associated with various market subsectors. To understand this a bit better, we have with us Mr. Arvind. Mr. Arvind is currently Business Development and Engineering Lead at Mondelez International. He is a 2014 Chemical Engineering dual degree graduate from our campus and has been working with Mondelez since. Prior to his current position in the company, he has been the lead for manufacturing line at the Sri City plant, which is Mondelez India's largest chocolate plant. He has also worked on a beverages project, as also with utilities, green energy, and sustainability. We'd hear about these and much more through our conversation today. Hi, Mr. Arvind. Thank you for your time and taking time out of your schedule for joining us today.
Hi Ashish, it's a pleasure. In fact, good to be back talking to IIT Madras future graduates.
Thank you. So, to begin today's session, I would request you to give us a brief introduction to the FMCG sector from your understanding and perspective.
Okay, so I guess let me step a few years back. I guess from when I kind of attended lectures at the Central Lecture Theatre there in the campus. So, as I think by now, since all of you are preparing for placements, I know probably that you very well know what FMCG stands for. It's referred to as CPG, FNB, and so on. So FMCG, as all of you know, stands for the fast-moving consumer goods industry, and as Ashish also just mentioned, it is a significant. It contributes to a significant portion of India's economy. So I guess it's a very lucrative employment opportunity also for many of the graduates from the campus, and I think that has been the trend for as in many batches, probably starting many decades before itself. If I am to just first probably break up this kind of conversation into two pieces. One is on what are the different options available in FMCG, and then second on how relevant FMCG is in terms of the current situation. Probably first hitting upon the first point on what are the subsectors available in FMCG. So see, FMCG is very vast. We have multiple industries within FMCG that operate. Probably instead of giving the industry segment names, probably if I take the names of a few companies, like say for example, when I was in campus, I was aware of probably only the PNGs, the Unilevers, then the ITCs, and probably the Mondelez, mostly in the food and beverage segment, and then some in the consumer healthcare, and then probably consumer goods segment. But I would say there are a lot more of organizations that work in FMCG sector, like say for example the Godrej, the Dabur, Parle, and so on and so forth. So if you see, it's a huge industry, and some of the potential subsectors, if you can say it like that, would be one a major one is the food and beverage. Second one would be the consumer healthcare, partly linking with pharmaceutical as well, and then third one would be the consumer goods in terms of our daily products that we use mostly in the cosmetics and so on. So it is a huge industry, and if you see, I think after having worked in this industry for almost 6 years, I would say that it is very relevant to us given the kind of products that we manufacture. I'm not again talking from a Mondelez perspective, but I'm talking from an FMCG perspective. And it's something which is continuously evolving because as times change, the consumers' needs change, and hence the one of the biggest requirements of any company in the FMCG industry has been that we stay on our toes to keep evolving as per our consumers' needs. So that is what is exciting in the FMCG industry, and that is what keeps the FMCG industry refreshed. So, but obviously, as in if you compare it with the technology industry giants like say Microsoft, Google, etc., the pace of change may not be as fast, because there are a lot of small components that get integrated into one FMCG company, and all of them take their own time for development, uh, analysis, then consumer survey, and then finally product rollout and so on. So the timelines would be different if you see in terms of the evolution, but I guess that is where the complexity is also there, and hence the opportunity and the interest in terms of how you see the FMCG industry. So I guess it's a very relevant, evolving industry, and I would say, like now coming probably into the food and beverage segment in which I work. If you see across the last 10 years, there has been a growing demand for more nutritional food products, more healthier options, choices, and so on. And hence, if you see, that is what is keeping us in the chocolate industry or in Mondelez even more focused on the consumer's interests. So, I guess from that perspective, in a nutshell, to keep the point short, I guess it's an evolving industry which will definitely give you a lot of learning opportunity, and from a career perspective, I would say FMCG is something in any company will, from as an engineering graduate, it will not limit you to just core technical jobs. Or career options, but if you are really up for it and if the organization will support you, then I guess you can definitely get a well rounded career learning opportunity if you work with any FMCG. Now that can span across R&D, research and development, then supply chain, engineering, business development, and so on and so forth. So I guess all in all, it's a well-rounded, well-encapsulated career opportunity that you get if you have to work in the FMCG industry, because of the kind of options that you have. And now coming to touch upon the second point, which is on how relevant it is in today's world, because I guess one big question or doubt that you may have in all of your minds is on how COVID may be impacting FMCG. I should say, probably 3 months down the line, I also feared how probably consumers' demands, etc., may change. But one thing I've realized over the last 3 to 4 months is that core FMCG companies, when I say core FMCG companies, companies that work in the food and beverage segment, or essentially that manufacture anything that is essential to a human need, would definitely be able to survive if it has the right financial base. So I guess in that respect as well, while the security of the company would still be intact, at the same time, COVID also has given us immense challenge in kind of uh, trimming our portfolio and so on and so forth, to keep our consumers engaged, to keep the employees engaged, and to keep pushing the business. So I guess overall, it's a very interesting industry to be in. You will get the right flavor from different elements, provided you're up for it. But at the same time, if you're a person who is looking to specialize in something, that option is also there. But that is something which is not generally preferred in an FMCG industry, because if you need to grow up the ladder, it is always preferred that you try out multiple things, and that is something which FMCG generally provides. I hope I have been able to kind of touch upon what you are really meaning.
Yeah, definitely. We covered a lot of things that we would actually want to ask you down the line. So, just going segment by segment, you mentioned a bit about the sort of subsectors of the FMCG sector itself, like food, beverages, and pharmaceuticals, etc. But let's say within a FMCG firm, I guess there are a variety of roles that are available. So, could you just elaborate a bit on that, and how is it working with each of them, and how, as you entered from campus, are you restricted to any of them and stuff like that?
Okay. So let me put it this way. So for engineering graduates who pass out of the campus, So I'll give the answer in two manners. So for
Sure.
first, from the perspective of graduate from IITM or from engineering college, and second, as a general employee who may just get into the organization, who may have some management background as well. So for an
Okay.
engineering graduate, I would say obviously the profiles in marketing, sales, finance, etc. would be a bit difficult to get into initially during the career. But if the candidate can establish himself or herself in the company over probably a 10 or 12-year period, and if he or she is able to pick the right training modules over that career in a FMCG company, entering as an engineering graduate, he or she may still be able to land up a job in those management sort of profiles. Now coming to the second part, which is entering as an engineering graduate. So for an engineering graduate like me who joined Mondelez, and this is pretty much the case across most of the FMCG companies as well, there are multiple job profiles that you can choose across. But some of them, and the most important one of it would be in the supply chain. So what we call that as the integrated supply chain. So generally, in all these companies, you would see that the supply chain function is actually a set of multiple sub departments. So some of them, or some of the key departments, being business development, then engineering, core operations or manufacturing, and then customer service and logistics. So these would be the uh, I would say the more operations focused departments within supply chain, and then you have the business focused departments, which are more of supply planning, demand planning, and also to an extent the business development function as well. So that is how we in Mondelez are structured. So just to give a probably a quick snapshot on what each department means. So engineering generally is responsible for execution, design, and probably startup of new production lines, new facilities, infrastructure facilities, and so on. Business development is a very interesting profile because it is expected to coordinate across multiple departments, not just within supply chain but also with R&D, and D, and then the front end of the organization like marketing and sales at times. And it is more of a strategic arm of supply chain. Demand planning and supply planning would be more around coordinating very closely with the marketing and finance teams, the front end teams, to kind of give the right picture to the factories in the supply chain to produce what we want as per the consumer's needs. And then core manufacturing is very inward looking in terms of just focusing on the day to day operations and keeping the factory running to meet the consumer's requirement of the right products. And then probably customer service and logistics is one another interesting area within supply chain, wherein engineers from institutes like ours can definitely look towards learning warehousing operations, managing warehousing, and then also the logistics piece. So these are broadly some of the departments that kind of constitute the supply chain function, wherein you have a lot of opportunities for young, talented engineers like yourselves to kind of start off a career. But as I said, if you can, it would be too difficult to kind of start off a career in an FMCG coming out of IIT in probably a finance or a marketing or a sales. But if you have the right,
Hmm.
if you show the capability, and if you show that you have that management acumen, and if you have the sponsorship within the organization, I guess after a period, probably a decade or so, I guess, even organizations, I have seen organizations actually take the risk of actually giving such roles to engineering graduates as well.
I see. That's interesting. So, the sort of a follow-up question to this, like you mentioned, like the various sort of options within the engineering domain itself, like keeping aside the financial and managerial for now. So, once you enter the firm, how flexible is it to sort of switch between them, and what is sort of a timeline of that sort? Like, suppose if I enter this and start working under one, let's say the inward working of the factory itself, which you explained. Like, let's say I want to go to another segment. Now, that might be slightly different sort of a work genre. So, how as a person can you switch? Are they, is it open, or is it some effort or
Yeah. Okay. So, one I can definitely tell you that is it would to a great extent it would depend on the organization. I can tell you
I
that
see.
because it depends on, see, first of all, I can tell you for all the major FMCG companies that recruit IIT engineers, we do enjoy a lot of flexibility, I must say, irrespective of
Yes.
the organization. But in terms of how soon you can jump across departments, I would say it totally depends on the policies, the HR policies of the organization. But from a Mondelez perspective, I can tell you that for us, we have been given really good opportunities by the company. So, for example, in my case as well, I joined in engineering back in 2014. After that, I got a chance to work in the health, safety, and environment. That is yet another department in supply chain on a short stint. Post that, I moved into business development. Then for last 2 years, I have been in co-manufacturing, and then I moved back into business development. So,
Okay.
it depends a lot on the organization. But I must say. You must, like, if you are really aspiring for a long career in an FMCG industry, basis my experience and also what I have been told by my mentors in the organization, you should be open for change quite frequently, at least in the first half of your career, maybe at least in the first 10 years. Because, as I said, FMCG industry is a link of so many small departments or other small functions. Or let me not say small, but a lot of functions. And each
Mm.
function works in its own different manner, and that has its own advantages and disadvantages. So working in each and every function gives a different perspective of the business to you. So as you want, if you want to reach a more senior role, maybe 10 or 15 years down the line, at that particular point in time, you would want a leader who has a more holistic view of the business than probably only a manufacturing view of the business. So that is where I guess each and every FMCG industry would want, or company would want to kind of uh, rotate you across functions, across roles. So so you should also be open to that change. So to your question, how open it
Correct.
is in a nutshell, it depends on the organization to a good extent, but basis my experience and also my friends' experiences in other FMCG companies, for IIT engineers, the options are available. It's just that you need to be vocal and also you need to demonstrate the capability at the right times. And one thing I must say, you should have also the right sponsorship within the organization to keep the roles coming in.
Got it. Sure. So again, like as you mentioned, you've worked with a lot of sectors, and something that is sort of curious for a lot of students is going to be what the really working day in at a FMCG would look like. So let's say right now for a business development, how does your day really pan out um, in general?
Okay. So again, the day will totally depend on the role that you do. So
Yeah.
for a business development role, which I'm doing right now, ideally I should be based out of a factory, but I cannot be based out of the factory right now because of travel restrictions. So hence, assuming that I would have been based out of the factory for a business development role, close to 40 to 50 percentage of the day goes in attending meetings, probably liaising with the multiple stakeholders, both inside the factory as well as outside the factory, outside supply chain as well, and probably talking to vendors, coordinating with multiple folks to kind of set the agenda for maybe a few trials in the plant, or maybe planning out an execution timeline for a project and so on. So close to 40 to 50 percentage of the time would go in that. And maybe another 10 to 20 percentage of the time would go in closely working with finance to prepare the financials for various projects that may be coming up. And the remaining probably 20-30% would go in taking rounds of the floor just to keep yourself updated of what is going on in the floor. Because for me, my current role is a factory based business development role, so it is very important for me to actually know very well what is going on the factory floor, so that I ensure that the strategy set for the factory is in alignment with what is actually going on the floor. Otherwise, the feasibility would itself come under question. But please don't generalize this. This is not the way it generally happens.
Of
So
course.
that is probably one another thing that you get in the FMCG segment or industry. You can choose to do roles which will not give you that typical corporate feel. So for those of you who want to be probably going to a swanky office, I'm not sure how that would be post COVID, but who would want to go to a swanky office and then spend time in meetings face to face. You have these corporate roles based out of head offices, and if someone feels that no, that is not their cup of tea, but they would want to work in a factory, get their hands dirty, have a more informal sort of connect with their colleagues. You have the factories wherein it's totally informal, like you cannot even expect that you can have a corporate sort of a setting in a factory. So you get both these choices when you work in an FMCG company. So hence, depending on the role that you do, the day for you also totally would look different.
Of course. Sure. We'll definitely make a note of it that this is going to be like specific to the department you're going to work in. So
Yeah.
yeah. Moving on to, about, like, let's say we sort of heard about how your day pans out. What's slightly personal, but what are some aspects that you particularly like and that keeps you going ahead in FMCG sector itself?
Okay. So there are a few things. First thing I would say is one of the most critical things required for any employee in FMCG is the ability to work across teams and with a team. So that is very, very critical. So very good people management skills is quite critical to succeed in an FMCG company. The reason for that is, as I said, you have multiple functions working very closely. So if you don't have the skill sets to probably understand someone else's views, or if you're not patient enough to probably listen to another team calling out what their concerns are, sometimes sooner or later you might face challenges in kind of maneuvering through various discussions and getting your agenda executed. So that is something which has kept me interesting. So, and that is something which I have found very common across all the roles that I have done in Mondelez so far. So in each and every role which I have done, this is something wherein you need to keep improving on your people management skills. So and the reason why I like this about probably working an FMCG industry is because I have realized from the advice that I've got from my seniors also, that at the end of the day, if you are a very good people manager, irrespective of the industry that you are in, you would definitely be able to succeed moving forward. So I feel from that aspect, working in an FMCG industry really gives you a lot of opportunities to keep improving on that people management skill piece. That is one. Second, I would say that is more specific to Mondelez. I have been kind of grateful to the organization for giving me the kind of roles that I wanted to do across and at the right time. So that is something. So it's not that I have ended up doing something which I didn't like. So that is also something which has kept me
Hmm.
exciting all across the last 6 years. And probably third thing, like all the more now I realize that at times I feel I am fortunate to be working with a good organization like Mondelez, and also in a more relevant industry like the FMCG sector. So I feel that probably I may have made the right choice 6 years back in going ahead with this kind of a career option, because the learning for me, basis what I've seen in the last 4 5 months, is that this is a sector that will stand the times if the company has the right financial base to push through, because it's gonna be relevant. No one is as in FMCG is not something which is gonna kind of be forgotten during even the times of a pandemic like this. So I guess the longevity is something which is also attracting me to FMCG.
Fantastic. So again, if I may, on the flip side of the coin, are there some aspects that you aren't particularly fond of, or you feel that in FMC, you would sort of get an exposure to them if not in an FMCG?
Sorry, Ashish, can you repeat the question, please? The network was breaking up.
Sure, I'm sorry. Yeah. So I was saying, like as we've heard the positives of it. On the flip side, are there any sort of downsides or any particular aspects of your job that you aren't as fond as compared to this?
Mm, oh, that's a very difficult question to answer. So I must say, for now, no. I have actually enjoyed all the roles that I've done with Mondelez. Well, yes, at times there have been situations wherein I may have felt that, yeah, it could have been handled better and so on and so forth, but those were very specific cases. But maybe to put it in this way, like if I were a person who may have wanted to do hardcore designing, being an engineer, do AutoCAD drawings and do such kind of work, then probably I don't think FMCG is the right place to be in, because that is probably one thing I would want to clarify, taking this as an opportunity. So as a chemical engineer, when I joined Mondelez, I was very excited to join the engineering function, because I thought probably I'll end up sitting in front of a desktop doing some core, probably pressure drop calculations and all of those kind of stuff. But the expectation of an engineering function in FMCG is not to sit and actually design stuff, but rather coordinate with the right design companies to get what you want. So you are expected to kind of utilize your engineering knowledge to question your vendors, bring the cost down, bring optimize the designs, and kind of make it tailor made to what you want. So it's more of a techno commercial role that you will do, techno managerial role that you will do, with probably 20 to 30 percentage of the techno aspect of it, and the remaining on mostly the managerial aspect of it. So that is one thing which I would want to clarify. And so hence I would want to put it this way, that if I were a very core technical person, then probably I wouldn't have enjoyed working in an FMCG company.
Sure. I guess that would really be helpful for a lot of people in that getting this cleared out. So, sort of on a slightly different note, like we have sectors on campus which are sort of gaining quite a lot of traction, and I think that's been on an increase, such as finance, working with data, analytics. So when we compare FMCGs to those kind of sectors, the timeline for the projects or even the amount of time people tend to stay in the firm is quite different. Like in that, people make lateral shifts quite often, and the projects are comparatively shorter. So, firstly, I would say, why do you think is the case? And secondly, a lot of people tend to stay back in FMCG. So, what is sort of their end goal, I could say, or what do they look forward to, let's say, in a long run?
Ashish, can you repeat the second question once again, please?
Sure. So, first part is, of course, like why is like the case, like in FMCG, is a reason why the projects and the timelines are so long. Secondly, if I'm a person in the FMCG, what is sort of my long-term goal that keeps me hoisted in FMCGs and within the same firm itself and not shifting to another, let's say?
Okay. Got it. So let me take your first question first. So please correct me if I have got you wrong. So what I understood is your question was, why do timelines differ when you move across industries, or rather between an FMCG industry and some other industry? Why do the timelines differ?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
So let me put it this way. So probably again, this is basis. It's a personal understanding which I'm going to tell. See, in the basis my experience over the last 6 years, what I've seen is see, generally companies that are huge in the FMCG segment, like say PNG, Unilever, Mondelez, ITC, so on and so forth. Even though we are multinational companies, as I said, since there are multiple functions, you still have a bit of bureaucratic what do you say, time loss that is there. So because, and at time, like
Correct.
at the start of my career, I also felt that probably it's not required. But as I'm gaining an experience, I do realize that protocols and processes are required to kind of drive systemic change. Otherwise, it becomes too confusing when you have over 100,000 employees in one organization working across 200 countries. So that is one thing that
Correct.
takes a lot of time. So you can, anyone can argue with me asking, like probably giants like Google, uh, Microsoft, etc. They also work in the same pattern. Then why it's fast? It could be faster there. The thing is, I would say the part of the part there are I can probably tell it in this manner. To execute a project, the parts of it which may be common between an FMCG company and probably a technology company would be on the legal, regulatory, and probably the other communications government aspects of it. That is one part. Probably the timelines for that would be common between an FMCG company as well as a technology company. But when it comes to a development,
Correct.
I personally feel that probably a development of a code can be done probably in better coordination in a faster manner across countries. Because at the end of the day, the person works on a code, sends it across, the other person does it, so it happens much faster. Whereas in an FMCG company, the development is more around the product development or a process development and so on. So there are two reasons why it takes longer for FMCG companies, as I see it, for a longer process. One is people are located at different locations, and it is a solid material or a sample, etc., that may need to be sent from one different place to another, or a person may have to travel to some other place for the development of a machine or of a new technology. So those kind of tracks inherently take time. So and there would be multiple such projects happening simultaneously. So the way we work, for example, in Mondelez, we have one common R&D team sitting in India supporting all of our factories, close to 40 48 odd factories in our region of Asia, Middle East, Africa. So you can and we and there are multiple projects going on to cater different business requirements in different markets. So hence, if say for example a trial needs to be done, managing the production, setting up a trial, then sending the sample across, getting the probably a consumer survey done. So those aspects of it inherently take time, because you have a lot of people involved, you have transit delays, shipping delays, and so on. And it's basically involving some tangible material that needs to be tested and felt and analyzed, and then probably decided on. And on the process part, like since we actually handle machinery, obviously it takes months on to kind of take the machine, like design a machinery, get it coordinated with a vendor externally, optimize the financials, the design, and then get it made practically. So all though, again, that is again a track which is inherently long. There are opportunities for making it fast, but I must say, the at least in Mondelez, I would say the segment that we work in, like especially in snacking industry, like chocolates, biscuits, and so on, there are we don't have too many suppliers or vendors who give us reliable options. So hence we need to still go back to the same vendor to get things done. So they may get overloaded with multiple orders from multiple companies, and you must realize that that one person, maybe one company, may be catering to maybe three or four other chocolate companies. So hence the delay kind of
Okay.
starts to slip in. So that is, so those are, I would
Hmm.
put it in that manner, that on the legal aspects when it same. But when it comes to the product,
Correct.
or from ideation to execution, the timeline would be much longer in supply chain or in FMCG. That's the answer to the first bit. Second bit, in terms
Correct.
of how, like, I guess your question was, what can be a long term career map for a person in FMCG, right? Yeah.
Correct.
So again, I would say, like, I would probably use my personal experience and my personal aspirations in there. So when I joined, like, I was completely clueless, and there is nothing wrong in being there. So I started off with engineering, but then as I worked on the at the time when I joined, we were actually setting up this factory in Sri City. It was a 1,250 crore project, the biggest in the globe for us. So it gave us a huge exposure. So having worked in that and seeing the dynamics of it, I was kind of attracted to supply chain. And then now, having worked in supply chain, I would want to see myself at a leadership position, maybe 10 years, 15 years down the line. So what I'm trying to say is, it really depends on what you want to achieve. maybe after 10 or 15 years. But I guess it is natural for you to get an idea of that maybe after the first 1 or 2 years of you being in the company. But general roles which you can aspire for, maybe any leadership position in the supply chain function, because as I said, supply chain is something wherein engineers like us can really accelerate our career in all these FMCG companies. But at a later stage, if you would want to move to transition into a managerial profile into maybe sales or something, you I guess at that point in time you can definitely take a maybe an executive MBA or something, and then move to a managerial front end facing role as well. But definitely a leadership position maybe in another 10 to 15 years, either in supply chain or in any role in FMCG, is something any entrant can aspire to be in.
Sure, that's really interesting. So, like as you mentioned, that sometimes when you're entering into a company, you're not exactly sure what to expect ahead. So, are there any instances of people from FMCGs who have sort of diversified from FMCG itself? Like you mentioned that some people go into the managerial and financial segment of FMCG itself. But let's say if I'm a person who sort of doesn't really figure out that this is his cup of tea, and I want to diversify into some other sector, uh, is there such a possibility? Are there any colleagues that you could reference to who might have done something like that?
Yes. So actually, my senior who joined from IIT Madras. So first, to your question,
Hmm.
yes, there are people who kind of in the first 1 or 2 years figure out that probably FMCG is not what they would want to. And basis my experience again amongst my peers, what I've generally seen is that people take to either startups or not much into
Hmm.
financial jobs, but mostly into startups if they really don't like the kind of work in FMCG. So there were a couple of
I
friends
see.
of mine in my batch who actually left Mondelez and took up roles later in social entrepreneurial startups, and also other uh, uh, yeah, I guess in mobility related startups. And since you specifically asked about a person, so my senior, I am not sure if probably, since are you from naval architecture?
Yes, I am, in fact.
Yeah, so there is this startup by the name Planis. I guess they do
Right.
trials in the naval. Yes, so there is a person by the name Sohan Javale who works in Planis. I guess he is the operations lead for
Right.
Planis. So he was actually my senior working in Mondelez. So he left within 2 to 2.5 years of joining the company, because he liked being in. He wanted a core technical job, and he obviously
I
was
see.
more passionate about associating with Planis.
That's interesting. So, at this juncture, if it's okay, I would just like to go back to your college life a little bit. Like, sort of, when you're at the onset of your placement season, how did you stumble upon this career path and sort of figure out that you want to go into FMCG? I believe a couple of your internships also were in that domain, but like the general mindset that or thought process you might have gone through to take this choice.
Okay, so in my case, actually, I had done an internship with Mondelez in the R&D function in my pre-final year, and fortunately, I was offered a pre-placement offer also by the company, and that was how I kind of ended up in Mondelez, and I've been grateful for that as well. But if you have to ask me, like, if I am to position or picture myself as a fourth year chemical engineering undergraduate, I was quite clear on two things.
Hmm.
One was that I wanted to do a job after my graduation. I was clear that I wouldn't want to go ahead with any sort of further studies immediately. I guess that is something which is required. I would advise. I do know that probably till second or third year beginning, it is very difficult for a candidate or for someone in IIT to figure out what his or her future roadmap should be. But at least half a
Correct.
year before placements, I would suggest that, or at least a year before placements, uh, you should be very clear on what you would want to go ahead with, because otherwise unnecessarily the load on you increases, because you have to manage your probably a BTech project or a dual degree project, and along with that you have to manage the placements, and then along with that you have to manage your SOP preparations, applications, and so on and so forth. So it becomes too much of a load. I would advise that you kind of
True.
decide on what you want. So that is one. So as I said, so I was clear on that. Second was I wanted to join a multinational company. That was something which I wanted to, at least a company. It was not that I wanted to work in a company which was based, which was a US or a non-Indian firm. I was okay to work in an Indian firm as well, but at least a company which had a global presence. So that was something which I was looking forward to.
Right.
And to be honest with you, I really hadn't thought about whether FMCG is a right fit for me, because at that point in time I also did not have so much of an kind of an overall understanding of how my career should be, and so on and so forth. So basis these two things, luckily since I got the pre-placement offer, it met these two criteria, and I just decided to take it forward.
That's interesting. So, sort of one more aspect that students are quite concerned about is like, suppose at your time, for example, what were a couple of the PORs, positions of responsibilities that you were involved in, and how do you think they would have contributed to you, maybe in your application or any other form or fashion in the long run?
Okay. So I was actually, so to be honest with you again, I
Hmm.
think in only in the till probably my third year I participated in any sort of coordination sort of roles in either Sarang or Shastra. Post that I have
Correct.
been I have, you can call me as a very lazy person in the campus. So I kind of use my time to I literally whiled away my time in the campus, to be honest. So but I must say, let me put it this way. um, at that point in time I wasn't much aware, but definitely taking on roles of responsibility or positions of responsibility in some coordination activity when you are in college definitely helps. The reason why I'm saying it is, at least in the FMCG industry, as I said, some of the core skill sets that an employer looks forward to are: one, the people management skills; second is how you work as a team, how you can coordinate, how you can communicate your ideas freely, and how flexible you are and how adaptive you are to different situations or challenges. So these are a few things which any FMCG company would really look forward to having good skill sets in an individual. And the reason why specifically I'm
Correct.
calling out in FMCG is the nature of work is like that. You are expected to integrate
Yeah.
all across your work in all sorts of roles that you do. If it had been probably a core engineering
Correct.
role, uh, it wouldn't matter much, because it will be more of an individual performer sort of role, wherein you will be asked to design something, you sit and design it and hand it over. But unfortunately that's not the way it works in a role in an FMCG company. So and I guess if you do good kind of, if you take up good positions of responsibility in a Shastra or a Sarang, it doesn't matter whether it has to be a Shastra or a Sarang, but at least some good positions of responsibility which kinds of gives you the exposure to talking to external folks, negotiating on something, then coordinating with them, then probably wherein you may face a challenge and you have to kind of get a workaround solution. So those kind of teach you on certain skill sets that will be definitely required in a role in an FMCG company. So I would put it this way, that if you
Correct.
do, it will definitely be good. And whatever small roles that I did in my first 2 3 years did give me a bit of an exposure to that. But I wouldn't say regret. I don't regret having not done anything in the last 2 years. But I feel if you do it, it will be better. Because it definitely would help you in kind
Right.
of refining your communication, refining your emergency situation handling skills, and so on and so forth. So I would definitely say, if as an entrant into the campus, if you are very clear that you want to land yourself a job probably in a Unilever or in a Mondelez or in any FMCG company, at least you should try one or two
Hmm.
positions of responsibility so that you get a hang of things.
Got it. Yeah. So again, so actually the next set of questions I had in mind also was from an FMCG aspirant's perspective. So one is you I think conveyed basically like PWAs are good because they convey the interpersonal skills that is quite significant in the FMCGs. Apart from PWAs, do you think there's anything else the student might want to consider engaging himself in to sort of better understand the sector maybe, or just so that something that might eventually be an asset to his application moving forward?
Okay. So again, so are you asking from an interview perspective, or are you asking from a general, like any application perspective?
Um, Either. So I think I would actually want to keep it separate if that's okay. Like initially, just try to figure out the sector and stuff like that, so that I can sort of gauge if I want to do this or not. And then, like once I sort of bottle down, we could probably go in a bit of depth into the interview after it, if that's okay.
That's fine. That's fine.
Yeah.
So, so if you so to your question, like what sort of things would you want to do, or what kind of skill sets that you would want to improve on?
Hmm.
See, uh, because of the nature of work that roles in uh, FMCG companies entail, I guess it's see, as I said, the softer elements of work do matter a lot, along with the core technical skills. So that is
Correct.
something which, as engineers from IITs, we really need to be cognizant of, because
Hmm.
at times we get lost in those thermodynamic problems or in the flow problems and so on and so forth, that we get so excited about finding a solution. But let me tell you, especially in business as well as in that too, specifically in FMCG business, wherein, as I said, all roles are techno managerial roles. Even in R&D, you have only techno managerial roles. So
Hmm.
you have to have that part of yourself who should be able to kind of analyze things not only from a technical aspect but also from a softer aspect. When I say a softer aspect, like from an empathetic point of view, so basically the EQ part of it, the emotional quotient. So that's what I'm trying to say.
Correct.
So again, on the IQ piece, all of you are IITians. There is no doubt on it. So that's clear, and that is one reason why companies come and take you for the agility that you show, the quick learning ability. But you should definitely take up initiatives in the campus, which will give you a flavor of what all contributes to EQ, and also which can improve your EQ. It will definitely help. And I guess with the current COVID situation in place, I guess what something I have come across is something called as the adversity quotient as well. So if you can show that you have done something which wherein you were faced with an adversity, you managed, you patiently handled the situation, and you kind of cleared it through, that is also something which will definitely help. So the AQ, more on the EQ piece, that is a softer thing which you should try and develop when you are in the campus. And just to elaborate on what could come into that EQ, one is on the team working, communication, and then when I say communication, it's not, please don't get me wrong, it's not about speaking good English.
Hmm.
While I say it is important, it is about keeping things simple and being able to communicate an idea in a very clear manner across multiple forums. Like, say for example, since you are like, the way I may communicate an idea to you may not be the
Hmm.
same way I may communicate an idea to a professor. It will be totally different. So
Correct.
so that getting the kind of understanding right on how the same idea has to be put forth to multiple people, so that the recipient of that information understands it correctly, is something which is critical. Because as I said,
Correct.
you have to liaise with multiple departments, and all department, I can tell you, they all work with their fixed agenda. So
Hmm.
until you can clarify what you want from their lens, it will be very difficult to get them to get the work done for you.
Correct.
So on this EQ piece, if you can take up stuff in the campus, it can be as simple as doing a technical project in a department. It need not be a position of responsibility, because I'm aware, if you do a technical project wherein you take the lead on designing something and you get
Hmm.
it executed, for which you may need to coordinate with a person maybe in Velacheri to buy some stuff, put it together. So while the project in itself would be a technical success for you, I would say from an EQ aspect, you would be learning the softer things of, okay, you have taken the lead on kind of planning out things,
Hmm.
executing it, talking to an outsider to kind of negotiate. You went out, probably if you are not from Tamil Nadu, and then you kind of have the challenges on communication, you get across it. So those are the softer elements which you will learn. So I think any opportunity in the campus which you can use to improve your EQ on these aspects of communication, coordination, people management, you should definitely take it up.
Sure. This is really different. I hadn't heard this before, the EQ and the AQ perspective. So I think we covered a lot of the interview perspective also, but is there anything, some subtle point you might want to add from an interview, or maybe let's say even a resume perspective, that someone should be aware of for the very recent applicants, like who might apply right away?
Okay. So for your resume, I guess I guess the guidelines still remain the same. It should be a one pager. You should keep it
Of
short,
course.
crisp, and so on.
Yeah.
I would still stick to that, because let me tell you, having recruited candidates myself, to be honest, the first thing that we would look at would be the scores. And for a person from IIT, in fact, we would not even look at the scores, but rather we would look at what kind of projects you have done, what kind of probably uh, research work you may have done, if that is the kind of content that you are presenting on your resume, and what is the kind of value that you have added in the work that you have done. I think the last element is what is critical. So when you're preparing your resume, make sure that you keep it simple, and it should not be too crowded. That is one. If you feel, if you're a candidate who has done a lot of initiatives in the campus, probably the resume should have only the best of the best stuff which you have done. So choose and pick whatever you feel is right. Again, uh, align it with align it with the company's objectives that you are applying to. That is one. But if you're a candidate, on the other hand, who may not have done a lot of things, no need to worry. But ensure that whatever point you're putting across, it comes out as a point which, for as an employer, it comes out to me that okay, this person has actually added some value to the project that he or she has done. So make sure that your wording, your points that you mention, especially in the project section, especially in internships, come out with a statement indirectly to the employer that yes, this person or this candidate has actually added some value. And when I say added value, if you have to ask me how, probably through the monetary benefit. I know, as in when I was in when I was in IIT also, it's easy to make up those potential benefits, potential savings, and so on. But just put it across, because at the end of the day, when you sit for an interview, you will be questioned, or rather evaluated on those points only. So as long as you are sure that you have actually done those things, don't hesitate to put the potential savings in there. Because if I am to interview a person who is to give me who is to give me a resume wherein he or she has mentioned that this much savings has been done, I would definitely try to question that. When I say question that, I'll try to understand what have you done, how have you done it, okay, what challenges did you face. So through the responses, the employer would be able to make out whether it's actually genuine or not. So obviously, if things are genuine, I would definitely request each of you to put across the points which you feel the employer would understand as things through which you may have added value to the organization. That is something which you should do. Second is, I would say, keep it simple. Don't add each and everything, as I mentioned before. Try to keep things simple, because, as I said, during the interview process, the interviewer would just look at probably a handful of points on the resume. And generally, for engineers from IIT, it would be the internship, sometimes on the CGPA, especially during the interview stage, because by the time the candidate reaches the interview, obviously your CGPA, etc., would have been okay. So that's the reason why you are already in the interview stage. So the internships, the projects, and probably the positions of responsibility, if you have, should really capture what sort of an individual you are. So probably the projects on how you did a teamwork, how you communicated, how you coordinated, and also how you are able to add value to the organization, and probably technical projects if you have, probably that will demonstrate the IQ you have. Obviously, the CGPA demonstrates the IQ, but it's the EQ that has to come out through the projects and the positions of responsibility.
Got it. Yeah, the individual perspective was pretty interesting. Sorry, were you saying something? I,
No, no, no. Go ahead.
yeah. So yeah, from again the last sort of point towards an aspirant is like, are there any sort of myths or anything that a person aspiring to FMCG should be aware of? Like one, you mentioned that it's not exactly a core role as some people actually vision it. Is there any such sort of flag you might, or any such point you might want to also point out here about the FMCG sector?
Okay. So, Ashish, I actually missed to answer the second part to your question earlier. I'll come to your last question a bit later.
Definitely.
So, on the interview piece, just one more piece of advice from us, having learned it the hard way myself. I would
Sure.
really advise each of you to prepare well before you go for the interview. Especially like I have been a candidate who kind of had to have a kind of script in my mind before going for an interview. So it would be always, if you feel that you are not, if you don't have really good oratorical skills or something like that, then I guess it is important for you to kind of jot down what you need to highlight about your work, about your career, about your career aspiration, about what you have done in terms of positions of responsibility, etc., so that you are clear on how you want to brand yourself in front of the interview panel. And always keep in mind the interview is going to be maximum for an hour or 2 hours. I do know companies come and take 4 hour long interviews and so on and so forth, but generally FMCG companies come and take interviews that are 1 to 1.5 hours long. So it's a very small time span for a person to be evaluated. So you have to be as a candidate really clear on what you need to communicate, and be very, one thing that I've been told by my seniors in IIT, as well as by my mentors in the company, are you should always have examples from your life or from your campus or some experiences from your life to substantiate what you want to do and what you want to achieve, so that that kind of gives a solid picture to the employer that yes, what he has a very good idea what he wants to do. He has actually done something. He has
Correct.
been honest enough in sharing the experiences, and hence we would want to pick him. Because yeah, why I'm telling, I learned it the hard ways. When I was attending a few internship interviews in the beginning, I didn't go well prepared, but later then through some of my friends I got to know that yes, these are some of the things which I should have done. So go prepare, that is something which is critical. Now coming to your last question on what are the myths,
Correct.
I would say I would put it this way. See, this please, like for those of you who may be interested in core, keep in mind, yes, FMCG companies sometimes are considered as core companies, but for sure I can tell you, uh, if you are expecting a core designing job, no, I don't think companies like Unilever, Mondelez, ITC, etc., may give you that opportunity. You will be expected to use your engineering skills to a huge extent, but definitely that will be in combination with good people skills. So that is one thing I would like to clarify. Other than that, yeah, probably I would put this also for those of you who would want a hardcore corporate role, wherein you may want to, like, I know that like there were friends of mine who were very clear on probably going to offices suited up, not want to get their hands dirty and all those kind of stuff.
Correct.
Just have a second thought, because even the corporate profiles in FMCG are slightly different from the typical corporate roles in finance or in the banking sector. So those are very lucrative corporate roles, the kind of roles which you find in I don't know, advertisements and those kind of stuff. But you don't get that kind of a corporate feel in FMCG. It's a slightly different kind of corporate feel. If I am to put it in my personal way, it's a slightly informal corporate feel. So even in headquarters, people will you don't find people suited up and all those kind of stuff. So it's a very informal connect. Again, it depends on the culture of the company as well, but I feel it's a more informal sort of corporate. So just keep that in mind, because I have seen people who have come to the factories and really regretted coming to the factory, just because they realize that no, locations are remote, they're having to stay away from a city life, the entertainment, everything is getting missed, etc. So That is one aspect. And one another point which I would just want to enlighten you guys is, if you come into a fact like supply chain part of, I guess, any FMCG, please keep in mind it will be a bit hectic. It will not be compared to the corporate roles of supply chain in FMCG, factory roles will be even more hectic, and supply chain roles will be more hectic compared to the other roles in the company, like say R&D, or to a certain extent marketing as well. Sales also have a tough time, but I must say that it'll work will be a bit hectic.
Correct. Sure. Okay, so if we have a few minutes, could I just go through a couple of the questions we received from the students? So we circulated a form with them, asking if they have any questions.
Yep, sure, go ahead.
So we've covered a significant amount of it. So I'll just try and highlight the ones which sort of we can sort of explicitly answer. So
Yeah.
the first one we had was, how is the work-life balance? I think this was the very last topic we were speaking about. And also the second follow-up question by the same student is, what makes you interested in supply chain? These were the two questions from the first student.
Okay. So, see, there are people who would want to have an equal share of work and equal share of entertainment. So it's I would put it this way: work-life balance is actually defined by the individual. So, having worked in factories, working in factories require long commute, then long, probably long hours depending on the work you have in the factory, so on and so forth. So please be aware of that. So I guess the question was, how do I maintain my work life balance? I would say yes, as in it's long hours, it's 6 day working weeks and so on. So generally, uh, as I said, a factory environment is very informal. So as you end up seeing the same lot of people, and you end up working within the same lot of people, maybe 50 odd people every day, you kind of build a bonding with almost all of them on a daily basis. So, how we used to ensure that we kind of vented out, we kept ourselves kind of relaxed was by probably going out for movies. Then we found our own ways of hanging out as friends. Again, most of them were from the same factory only. That's why I said that bonding kind of makes the whole group from the company only. So that is one. So, but it again depends. There were friends of mine from Sri City who used to hang out with their college mates who are in Chennai as well. So that also used to happen, but I guess it depends on how you would want to. But I can tell you, generally the pattern is that factories would be remaining remote, as in they would be located remote. So if you are looking for a factory role in an FMCG company, please be aware of that. So that to a huge extent you may not be able to avoid that particular piece. Travel will be there, that will consume a lot of your time. So you will have to figure out how you need to relax yourself probably over the weekend on a Sunday alone, so on and so forth. So that's how I have been managing. Sundays we used to go out and so on. Can you just tell me the second part of that question once again, please?
Second question was, what makes you interested in supply chain?
Okay, thanks. So, see, I can tell you supply chain is very dynamic. So it's at least in Mondelez, it's extremely dynamic. If you are especially in a sector of FMCG which is growing, or at least which is very, very relevant to the consumers today, I can tell you there'll be multiple projects. It can be simple projects like probably efficiency improvements and so on, or cost reduction, or it can be huge scale projects like factory setups, line expansions, capacity expansions, and so on. So this is on a business development and engineering end of the things. So things are very dynamic, and that is something which has kept me excited. As per operations, I would say it is actually the team on the floor which kind of kept me excited to go every day, because it's a daily routing on and on in operation. So unless you, as like you tell yourself that you have to maintain a discipline on doing things the same way over and over again, you will not be able to do well in you will not be able to keep yourself excited in operations. So you have to find your own sources of excitement. But I guess in a business development and engineering sector in supply chain, it's the projects, it's very dynamic, I can tell you that. New things keep coming up every month, so that's something. And if you are in operations, to a certain extent you have to keep yourself motivated. And if you're a people manager, if you like spending time with your team, I don't think you will have a lack of excitement in there.
Sure. So the next question is by the next student. It is FMCG roles offer varied problems to work on, spanning engineering, business development, marketing, supply chain, etc. So, how would you distinguish an FMCG role with a consulting role?
Okay. So, as I see, I would put it this way in very simple terms. Uh, Nothing against the consulting profile, but consultants generally give the solution, but then they don't get to execute it. But we get to execute it, and that is one thing. So, what I have seen is, again, companies like us, ours, uh, we also do rely a lot on the big consultants like BCG, McKinsey, and so on to get solutions on stuff. But at the end of the day, when we start implementing those, we do realize the pros and cons of the solutions that are suggested. So I would put it this way. If we are to do the same roles in FMCG, we may have a more holistic way of approaching a problem, because we know the problem, and for sure we know what could be the issues that may come up if we are to implement those, the solution that we may have in our mind. So we may be able to fine tune it faster. In a consultant role, I would say, since the consultant may not have full knowledge of what is actually happening in an organization, or what may be actually happening on the floor, the solution may not always be holistic. So once the solution starts getting implemented, then only we may start facing a few issues, teething problems, and so on and so forth. So I guess the execution thing is the main difference.
True. Got it. So the last question I'd pick up from here is, how can an engineering student enter into business development? What internships, projects, courses, or maybe an MBA will be needed to become a business development executive at an established firm?
Okay. So I guess as an engineer, if you go into a, um, I would say, like, say, in FMCG companies, supply chain is more engineering driven. Like when I say supply chain, the factory, the most of the manufacturing end of the supply chain is engineering driven. So hence, there, as engineers, if you are having the right common sense, and if you can use the engineering skills and also have the adequate business acumen, then I guess you will be able to land yourself a business development role in supply chain itself. So that is the case with me as well, because I'm just an engineer. I have not done an MBA, but over the years, with the support of the organization and mentors, I've been able to get business development roles. But if you're looking for a front end business development, or front end of the business facing business development role, or if you are looking for a business development role in a very marketing oriented firm, then probably there can be two ways. One is to probably pursue an MBA, that is one. Or you can actually look at doing a business development sort of roles in startups, I guess, because startups will give you, the thing is, trying to do a business development, I have not come across a lot of business development sort of internships offers. Those are mainly core, you are allotted a very specific engineering project, and you're expected to do it, or you're supposed to do an analysis and so on. But so if you try and pick up a business development oriented internship in a startup, which I believe startups will have the flexibility to offer it to you, then I guess you will be able to learn a lot of things much faster in a 2 month or a 3 month internship period on such a kind of a profile with a startup. So I guess those will kind of help you get into business development roles in front end facing parts, or front end facing roles in even supply chain, or even in FMCG. But if you are really looking forward to business development roles in core marketing oriented firms, then I guess MBA would be the best way out.
Definitely. So, like,
Yeah,
just to sort
and
of, yeah,
just one more point, just to add on. See, in business development, apart from the technical skills, one another key skill set that you need to develop is the business acumen of it. So, in business acumen, well, see, for me, it's just an understanding of how the payback, the financials, etc., pan out. But if you really want to get into a business development role for a marketing sort of firm, then I guess you need to have a good understanding of P&L and the core financials, bottom line, top line, and so on. So if you can take up probably internships in that kind of profile, core financial sectors, that will also be helpful.
definitely makes sense. So, yeah, coming to the last question, which is sort of specific to these year's final year students, placements given the current COVID situations is a bit of a concern for them, how it's going to pan out and things like that. So, would you have any words you would like to share with them, or anything you would suggest they can engage themselves in right now so that they're more better equipped once the placements do happen this year?
Okay. See, I do understand the situation is, as in it's quite strange and it's very tensed. I do empathize with them, but I guess IIT provides a very good, strong platform for all of you to launch your careers, and I still have good amount of confidence that you can still bank on it compared to many other engineering graduates across the country. So I guess you don't need to worry too much about it. But at the same time, I think the point that is to be noted here is probably the change in the way employers would look, or the change in skill sets employers would look to when recruiting candidates from this year. See, obviously, we have to accept at the end of the day that economically, every organization is going through a huge strain. So definitely when they come for recruitment also, I would say that we would have to go in with a mindset that probably they may recruit only the best of best. So given that's the case, I guess the opportunity, or rather the advice would be that each of you should try and sharpen your skills as much as possible. Now, what sort of skills? While see, from an IQ perspective, I don't think the situation is any different from what was there before, because you are still in an IIT, you have done all your coursework, it's done. So, from
Right.
an IQ piece, I guess it's still safe and secure. But I guess it's from the softer skill sets that I guess you need to slightly change your approach, or rather sharpen your skill sets. Because see, even for me working remotely, it adds to it's a totally different experience. So whether a candidate is able to come again, it again goes back to those EQ aspects, whether like how comfortable would you be in working from home for such a long time, how comfortable would you be in communicating an idea remotely, how can you expedite things when you are actually working remotely, what kind of skill sets would you bring to the table to make that happen. Those are the kind of things which probably companies would look to. Because like probably 7 months back I would have said it's impossible to run a factory remotely, but having done it myself, having run my operations department for 2 months remotely, I can tell you even my as in my perception of it was shattered. So definitely, it's I guess one thing is to keep your ideas open, and you should be able to kind of think of what all kind of new ways of working could come up in this COVID world, and see what kind of skill sets you each of you will need to improve on, so that you can add value to the company. So that the company would feel that yes, these are the skill sets that we would need, and we are finding it in this person, and yes, he is a good fit for the organization. Because more than ever, I feel more than the IQ, it's the empathy portion which will become very critical in these times.
Get it. Sure. So, I think that is pretty much it from our side. So I'd just like to conclude by saying thank you so much for your time. I'm sure I speak on behalf of all the students when I say that all of the stuff we heard today is really insightful and gave a really unique perspective to a lot of things. I really sincerely appreciate it. So thank you.
Thanks, Ashish. Thanks for having me today. Thanks to Sandeej, and Malavika also. So thanks for reaching out. We'll be very happy to help any of you if there are any further questions or queries. Feel free to connect. No concerns, because I feel that as in our seniors came and did the same to us, so at least we have the same responsibility. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you so much for your time again. Good day.
Thanks. Take care. Stay safe.
You too. Bye bye.